Hi, everybody. Before we start the show, I want to invite you high-achieving women to my summer series. And this is what it is. So it starts July 18th, and it's going to go for 4 weeks, and it's 4 open coaching calls with different topics. And all the information will be on the show notes and anywhere you can find me on social media, but I'll explain a bit here. Because over the years, I have spent thousands of dollars with coaches to learn time management, to learn how to decide my life, create more time, create more money, what it looks like to be fulfilled and have true happiness, how to have deep connection in relationships with myself, with my partner, with the people in my life, what that looks like with my daughter. And I am giving it all to you for free. You can come to one of the calls. You can come to all the calls. You can come and just listen. You can opt to be coached on something you're struggling with. The link to register will be in the show notes, and all the dates and times will be in the show notes. But it is time. It is money. It is deciding your happiness, and it is about deciding your relationships. And I wanted to do this because I want to fast track you. I want you to understand that you have all the power to live happier, more fulfilled, create the money you want to make. If you're wasting time, how to fix that. I don't want you to go through what I went through. And so I'm giving it all away to you with 4 sessions, and more information will be in the show notes, but I wanted to just stop by and tell you what's happening for this summer, and hopefully I'll see you there, and let's get on with the show. You are listening to the You Get to Decide podcast with your host, Allison Cratchola Gallagher, and this is episode number 4. Welcome to the You Get to Decide podcast. This is your life and business coach and host, Allison Cratchola Gallagher. I help all you high achievers out there feel content and confident so that you can feel happy now. Then you're just going to go out and create the life of your dreams faster. Through my journey, coaches have helped me completely transform my life, and now I get to help you do the same. Every week, we're going to talk tools, tips, and tricks to help you take consistent action based off the life you want. Because you really do get to decide your life. And I am here to remind you of that every week. So let's get started. Everybody, and welcome back. Or if this is your first time listening to my podcast, welcome. What I want to talk about today is something that came to me earlier in this week, is that when we do truly decide to take our power back in our life, make conscious decisions to do things differently, make big change, take big risk, whatever it looks like, maybe do an about face and do something completely different in our life to make big impact, to take us on the road wherever we want to go, it doesn't feel good. And I think sometimes humans think, moving in the directions of our dreams is somehow going to feel good. And it doesn't. It may not. I'm going to put it that way. We have lots of different parts of our brain. And I reference these parts all the time. But I want to break down 2 different parts. Our primitive brain, that's our toddler brain, the oldest part of our brain, which is the one that wants to keep us safe. It wants us to sit on the couch, and it likes mediocrity. It likes the same old thing at the office every day. It likes to predict what's going to happen. It feels safe that way, which is why we kind of live in a hamster wheel where life is just continuously happening the same thing every day. Because our brain, our primitive brain, that toddler brain, that oldest part of our brain is going to offer you thoughts to do the same thing over and over again, or it's going to tell you a story that in the future the same thing is going to happen over and over again. Because it doesn't want you stepping outside of your comfort zone. Because it truly thinks, that little toddler brain, that oldest part of our brain, thinks it's going to kill you. So it wants to predict, oh, this happened in the past, so this is going to happen in the future, which is why when you want to change your life, you have to take massive action and follow. You can't follow your brain depending on what thoughts you're listening to, right? So your prefrontal cortex, which is, I'm pointing to my forehead, that is the conscious part of your brain. That's the part of your brain that dreams, that thinks about the life that you want, your goals, okay? It's going to offer you to run a marathon. It's going to offer you to hire the coach, right? It's going to offer you the bigger aspects of life. And then your primitive brain is going to talk you out of it. This is how it goes. So the primitive brain is like, no, that is going to kill us. And from what I've read and what I've been told, and I've said this in some rooms, is that primitive brain never evolved with us. So things that it tells us is going to kill us, it's just not that way anymore. Now, worry, concern, fear has kept us safe. The generations that worried the most got you here. It served you in some way because your ancestors stayed safe by listening to their brain, right? So worry, concern, fear, right? Fear is a legitimate asset, right? It keeps you from walking in the middle of traffic or, what are all the things that keep us safe that serves us. But our primitive brain takes it to a whole level and we obey. But the conscious brain is the one that's screaming to you from the inside that you are meant for bigger things, that fill out that, put that resume out online, that this is not, you're worth more than the job you're working in, or, you are meant to run a business and this is the business you're supposed to run, right? The dreams that go on come from your prefrontal cortex, your frontal part of your brain. And then what happens is you want to change your life. If you want to take your power back and feel what it feels like to decide your life and be totally in control of every action you take, it may not feel great at first. It may not feel great for a long time. And I want to warn you, that doesn't mean anything has gone wrong. That is the message today. When we decide our life, when we decide to look at our life differently, when we decide to look at where our action lies, when we decide to take a look at the results in our life and know we are meant for more, and we go to take action to change our life in the direction of meant for more, when our primitive brain starts freaking out and thinks we're going to die, we're not going to feel good in that action we're taking. I can't tell you how many times in my whole life, but I'll give you one example as of now, unless more come to me, but I got plenty. I have taken action when my nervous system was freaking out. And when I say that, I took action in total panic, shaking uncontrollably for weeks. Okay. And I'll never forget my first coach who I hired. And this is the story of me hiring her and what that looked like. But because I was a highly sensitive kid and I had this deep, dark belief that I wasn't worthy, but I kept moving in the direction of healing with this deep, dark, this strong belief that I wasn't worthy of feeling good. I wasn't worthy of healing. I wasn't worthy of the life I wanted. That belief was so strong inside of me that even though I pulled that along like a ball and chain to heal, starting as a teenager, because I really didn't know that belief was haunting me basically and showing up in every aspect of my life, it never quieted down, really. I carried it along with anxiety and worry and despair and victimhood. And so when I took massive action, even though I've been working on myself since I was 15, practically, I read 1 million books. I mean, that's dramatic. I don't know how many books I've read, but many and many. Therapy. I was always connected in some way to self-empowerment, to self-improvement, to self-reflection. I was in recovery for food addiction for 12 years. But yet, I never got down to that deep, dark belief that was haunting me, that I felt was very true, that I am broken, that it's not going to happen for me, that I am not worthy, I am not smart enough, I am not that person that gets to live happy. Through all the years of me moving in the opposite direction towards healing, towards living my dreams, towards taking risk, towards entrepreneurship, it came with me and sabotaged a lot of what was happening. Well, so my first coach who I hired, I'm going to go back to this story, but working with her for a little over a year, she said to me, after working with me for a little over a year, she said to me, Allison, most of the people I work with are, when I meet them, they're at ground level, right? With their beliefs. They're just kind of at ground level, right? And we're raising the bar. We're putting them on the rocket ship of what they can believe is possible. And you're going to get there faster. She told me I was below sea level when she found me. And I truly believe that. My mindset was so negative. I just, and I don't really have the words to put it together other than it's very sad. But she told me I was below sea level, and for her to see where I came in that time I worked with her, she just knew big things were going to happen for me because she saw how I pulled myself out. She saw that I didn't go screaming in the opposite direction, that I really pulling that unworthiness with me, dragging that ball and chain behind me, working to get above sea level, to ground level. I had to do way more than any of her students to do that. And when she saw that I committed to doing it, she knew that there was more that I was meant for. And that was after working with her for 1.5 years and in victimhood and in scarcity and in talking myself out of whatever she said I could do, I could actually absolutely do. And it was such a turning point for me that I realized that she validated me in so many ways of the pain that I've been through. And in that time is when I was like, holy shit, I am meant to be a coach. I know that. All the pain, right? Purpose and all the pain, all the books, all the therapy, all the recovery from food addiction, all the things I knew kind of were coming together at that moment for really understanding. That was one of the turning points for me where I realized I can decide my life. Okay. But let me tell you, I don't know if it was 2017. I didn't look at the date, but I knew one of the moments of absolute discomfort. I had never felt panic. I don't think. I was probably 39, maybe. Was I 40? I don't know. But when I hired my first coach, Sarah Petty, I found her on a webinar and I wanted to change my business model. I knew as a portrait photographer that the business model I was running was not fulfilling. I was running a successful 6-figure business, but I was not challenged. I didn't feel that I was serving my clients. I felt undervalued. I felt no value. I felt unfulfilled. And I was confused on why. And I was starting to talk to other photographers in the industry that were running more of a boutique model. And I felt intrigued by that. I felt that that was more fulfilling, I could serve my clients more. It felt more challenging. And I love to be challenged. I love to be challenged. So she came across my newsfeed. And, I think the universe sends the teacher when the student is ready. And Sarah is amazing at sales. But I ended up on a webinar, and then I ended up investing with her. And I bought a program. It's like $1,000, and it was a program, online program. Well, I don't know her story at the time, but what I surmise is she was getting ready to move into group coaching in some fashion. And she got me on the phone. I didn't know her, okay? But she got me on the phone and invited me and like 12 other students to go out to her studio in Springfield, Illinois. I had never done anything like this in my life. I had never hired a coach, but I knew what I was doing wasn't working, and I literally had no idea how to take another step to transition into what I was going to do. My brain told me this was going to be an epic failure. I was going to collapse my business. I was going to put my family on the street. I was not capable of this level of service, of this level of change, none of it. I had been in business 12 years, 13, 14 years, and now I was going to change everything. And some people would just totally roll into this like, let's do this. I'm good. Let's go. I get this. This is the next step for us in business. For me, my brain, my toddler brain was freaking out, like panic, visceral, visceral feelings in my body. My whole body was like, this is crazy, right? So the message is, if you look at your panic, you're saying, oh, this is not the right move, right? Your body's panicking. Let's go in another direction. Like that is like, like, wouldn't that be the rational thought? If my body is totally freaking out in panic, this is probably an unsafe move, right? But something in me said, keep going. And I honestly don't know what it was, the exact thought that kept me going. Well, maybe I think it was, if I think about it, it was, you can't continue to do what you're doing. Like, I was ready to leave the business. Like, I was ready. I was like, this is not fun. This doesn't feel successful. There's all these signs of success, but it didn't feel like success. And so I'm not going to go back to what I was doing. So I have to move forward. I ended up paying Sarah a good amount of money that I did not have. Okay. Never met her. Didn't know a whole lot about her. I got on a plane. I spent 3 days with her. I paid her a large sum of money that I did not have. And money was always a huge trigger for me. The discomfort that I had, the shame, the imposter syndrome, the regret, it was a large sum of imposter syndrome, and that I was fooling myself, that I belonged there. And the thoughts got so loud, like I could cry thinking about it. The thoughts were so loud, and Sarah could see it. And she said to me on day 2 or 3 when I was there, she knew that I was different in that I was coming from a place of despair and a plaguing fear that was different than anyone else in the room. And she wasn't sure that she was going to see me again on day 2 or day 3. And I look at my resilience, and I look at my ability my strength to keep moving in deep-seated pain, emotional pain. And I am inspired by that. And this is a story about the biggest change in my life came when I did something that was so uncomfortable that I should never have continued. That my body was telling me I was in danger, that my family was in danger. I would wake up in the middle of the night, and when I came home and started to change things, I was waking up in the middle of the night in sheer panic. My face was going completely numb. My face was going numb. And I kept going, right? And I kept going through the pain, and my family, here we are years later. And I know that panic now, I know that just came from my thoughts. That came from that little girl inside of me. That came from that primitive brain that wanted to stop me from doing something that it thought was going to kill me, right? And changing your business model is circumstantial. It's just a circumstance, right? I invested in a studio, circumstance, okay? But my brain told me I'm not capable, right? The bottom line was I wasn't capable of this, that I was going to screw this up in some way, shape, or form because I'm not smart enough. And I didn't know it at the time I guess once I hired a coach, it took me years to really see that it was my belief that I'm incapable that was sabotaging me or just creating sheer discomfort and deep-seated pain in my body. Okay. But it did sabotage me on some level. Absolutely. Right. That level of disbelief in myself is what would wake me up in the middle of the night in sheer panic, but it was saying you're going to put your family out onto the street. Okay. And then a year and a half later was when Sarah said to me, you were below sea level where everybody else was ground level. When you bring them in to teach them something, you were below sea level. She saw something in me in those 3 days, and she knew I was on a whole level of despair and disbelief in my capabilities. Meanwhile, I had so much evidence in my life that I'm a successful person. I'm a successful entrepreneur. I'm a nice person. I am smart. And my brain was not showing me that. I had to decide to see it because the automatic response was, you're not good enough. You're going to screw this up. You're not capable. Okay. Which is why I am able to tell you, along with all of my other clients or even coaches that I've hired today, when we make a decision, especially if we've never made that decision before, when we make a decision to change our life, and Steve Harvey talks about I think he calls it the turning point. But Steve Harvey talks about that the level of discomfort it takes to change our life. So I just want to remind you, and I want to offer you, if you are in the thick of it, if you are in the trenches, or if you are taking action to change your life, not everyone's going to have that level of discomfort, that level of pain that I had, the despair, the sheer panic, depending on the level of risk you're taking. But there are people that take $1 million loans to build a business, and they sleep great at night, right? I see it. I'm very intrigued by business. I ask a lot of questions. I walk into a big business and I do what I can to talk to the owner to just learn about people, right? It's a decision for me to live in sheer panic. Now, because it's a subconscious belief, I didn't know it at the time that I do get to decide. Okay. Like I said, it took me in previous podcasts, it took me years to even figure that out, which is why I wanted to teach this now to you, that any of this disbelief that we have in ourselves, our incapabilities, it can't happen for us. There's not enough time. Our kids will suffer. I'm not going to be a good mom. whatever the thoughts are, good mom, good dad, any of it, we get to decide, is that belief serving us? Yes, we have enough time. That is a huge objection in coaching. I don't have enough time. And I'm going to say what was told to me, and what maybe I've read it in a book or heard it on a podcast, but people that run billion-dollar businesses or 6, 7, 8 different businesses have the same 24 hours we do. We have enough time. We create time for what we value. So if you think you do not have enough time to do X, Y, or Z, you can set a timer for 10 minutes, 15 minutes to make choices towards your dreams. Research whatever it is you need to research. Sit down and write your book. Create a post on Facebook about what you're selling. You could, hire a coach. With me, it's an hour a week. I've had so many moms that say I don't have time, and we found the time on their calendar to help them move towards their dreams faster, right? Because the discomfort is my kids are going to suffer, my family is going to suffer, something is going to suffer, and so I can't make time, right? Our brain's going to offer us that to keep us safe, right? Our primitive brain. But the prefrontal cortex keeps telling you to do the thing, create the post, go for the run, hire the coach, whatever it is, go into the kitchen and make the cookies that sell out every time, right? But then your brain is like, I don't have time. I don't have time. You get to decide which part of your brain you want to listen to. You get to decide the thoughts you want to believe. And at first, this is just the warning that moving in the directions of our dreams, there's going to be discomfort. It's not going to feel good. And I'm going to say it again, that doesn't mean anything has gone wrong. I remember a coach saying, the road to your dream, when you're on the path to your dreams or to doing something different in your life, discomfort doesn't mean you should take your ball and go home. It means you're on the right road. So this is like a warning, but this is also inspirational, that feeling discomfort is expanding your capacity as a human being. And in order to be the person you dream of being, live the life you dream of living, or if your body is just saying you're meant for more, like I just had this message inside of me, you're meant for more. And I just would hear it, but I didn't quite believe it, right? I didn't believe it enough. I believed it enough to take action, but then I'd sabotage it along the way. Okay? I remember I had a food addiction. I was in recovery for food addiction and binging, and I was like 220 some pounds. I was like 19 or 20, somewhere in there. And I was driving down a local road, and I remember a voice saying to me, you are going to be in a thin body, Allison. This is not your life. This is not who you are, and this is not the rest of your life. And I will never forget that moment. I didn't know where that voice was coming from. Yes, it could be your prefrontal cortex. It could be God. It could be the universe. Whatever it is, that came from a higher place. My own brain, my primitive brain did not offer me that. My primitive brain is like, you have to eat everything that's not nailed down to say, because you are unworthy and you deserve to be unhealthy, obese, you deserve to be unhealthy. I mean, the self-hate was just rampant, right? So my primitive brain is like, you need to eat everything under the sun because you are unworthy, because you are incapable, because this is all that you are worth. Or the feelings of dread and unworthiness were so intense that I'd eat to numb it, right? To just black out. And yet my own brain, somewhere a thought came to me in those moments that this is not your life, Allison. It was almost like, wait till you see what's going to happen. You're going to be, I remember hearing in my own head, you're going to be in a thin body. And I mean, fast forward, and yeah, most of my adult life, I'm in a thin body, right? So it was like kind of telling me the future. And I remember being excited with that thought, but then it took years and years and more years of, healing and all those things. But if I had chosen to listen to that thought, attach myself to that thought, I could have done more in those moments to make bigger change. I didn't know at that time that it was, that I get to choose my thoughts and decide my life. I get to decide. I have full power over eating that pie of pizza. I didn't know that then. It took me another 20 years to understand that. Okay? And then even when I did make changes, it was not comfortable. I'd rather decide ahead of time and allow the discomfort of growth and moving into my purpose and meeting that badass future version of myself before my heart stops beating. Bring it on. Bring on that discomfort over the stuckness and the feeling of unworthiness of the pain that brings. Right? That panic that I had hiring that first coach, because my primitive brain was like, you're going to fuck this up, man. You just wasted that money. That was money that you're supposed to spend on your family. Now you're going to put your family out onto the street. And I didn't share those dark thoughts with anyone. I didn't share those with my husband because I was so scared those thoughts were true. So I was like an imposter and full of shame for that decision. So as you're trying to change your life and take risk in your business and create more value in the world for your clients and make more money for your family, you have this dark, shameful belief that it's all a mistake, that you're going to fail at it. And when you don't share those thoughts with anyone, I just believed what my brain was offering me, which they were even subconscious thoughts. I mean, that takes you to a dark place, right? Especially when you're not sharing them and processing them. You're just wallowing in them. The self-sabotage is so real. And today I just rather choose the discomfort of moving in a different direction, right? I just realize that it's a decision if I'm worthy or not. It's a decision if I'm capable or not. Like, let's look at the evidence of how capable I am, or let's create the evidence. Instead of choosing to believe that deep, dark shit that I'm broken, that I am not capable. And so either way, there's pain, but also living in a place of comfort of doing the same thing every single day, of the predictability of your life. Your brain's loving that. It loves that there's mediocrity at the office. You're not being challenged. Well, your primitive brain is loving that. It wants you, I did a newsletter about Netflix and chill. Like, that's what your brain loves. That's why we do it, right? Because it's safe. It's comfortable. It's sitting, binging chips on the couch or whatever we're doing, talking ourselves out of doing anything that's uncomfortable and new. So the first time you do go out for that run, the first time you walk into the gym, right? People don't walk into gyms because they're afraid of being judged. Well, judging is not going to kill you. What people think of you is never going to kill you. It's just their thoughts. It's just a thing. It's just their thoughts, right? But we stay out of the gym because of all these thoughts that it's going to kill us, And like I said, that primitive part of our brain got us here. It kept us safe. It kept us from doing irrational, crazy things that took our life. But today, it's totally irrational. It's totally keeping you from doing your higher self shit. And so this is a warning. This is just a place of awareness. I've had so many conversations with people that wanted to hire me as a coach, and I had to coach them through the discomfort. Why doesn't it feel good? Because your primitive brain is like, you're making a change here. And it may know what's coming. It may know how much growth you're going to get. And it's like, nope, we stay right here. That's changing the predictability of the next 6 months, of the next year, of the next 5 years. And it doesn't like that, right? So same with me. I hired that coach. Man, I thought I was going to die, and most of the people that I talk to, that's not what they're going through. But I flew out somewhere. I didn't know where I was going. I was spending money I didn't think I had. Well, guess what? I had it. I figured it out. And I hired a lot of coaches since that I found the money somewhere. And I'm so grateful to my past self. I'm so grateful to her that she kept going in deep despair and discomfort and the panic in the middle of the night. Every once in a while I have that panic that wakes me up. It actually hasn't happened in a long time. I don't know, a year and a half or so. But when it does, I'm like, oh, that's right. This is the thing my body does. And I am there for her, and I calm her down. And I really try to sort through the thoughts in my head of what's fact and what isn't. So I just needed to tell this story because I want you to decide your life. I want you to take action based on the life you want. I want you to live out all your dreams that are inside of you. I want you to feel good as a parent. I want you to feel whole and complete in yourself now. And then know that you're fully capable of taking the small steps to wherever you want to go, whoever you want to be. I want you to do those things. And I want you to know that if I can do it in total discomfort, and there's a lot of other people that have done it too. It's not me. I'm not the anomaly. It's an uncomfortable path. So when your brain offers you that this is unsafe, or, when you start to think all the limiting beliefs, all the limiting thoughts are going to stop you from doing what you want to do, nothing has gone wrong. And when you start to move in the direction of your higher self, of whatever you want to do, and you feel panic, if you feel like you're in the wrong place, if you feel like you're an imposter, I'm going to tell you that you're in the right place, that you're not an imposter. That if you have this belief inside of you to move in a certain direction, and you start to move in that direction, and you have this, I've had people that have hired me because they feel like they're imposters. And through coaching, they've realized, nope, they're fully qualified to be where they are. Their brain loves to protect them by telling them they're an imposter. They think the brain thinks that they're protecting them, right? Their brain's offering those thoughts. You're not an imposter. You'll figure it out. You're smart. You're not supposed to know everything, but that's why you're moving in that direction, to learn. Okay? So that's it for today. I have so many other stories, but I'm going to keep it at that. That when you first start to decide and take action, it's not going to feel good. Plain and simple. And that does not mean anything has gone wrong. I'm going to say it again. Okay? You got this. What is worse? Like staying stuck in the life you have and the discomfort of knowing you're meant for more? Or moving in the direction of who you want to be and what you'll be on the other side of that pain? Eventually, it'll be your new normal. Right? I do things today that are my normal that 7 years ago would have debilitated me, right? We build our capacity for what we can do. And that's when my coach said that I was below sea level, because my capacity was nil. It was nothing. I had to build that capacity through panic, through fear, through discomfort, through shame, through mistakes, through all the things. And now I do things every day that I could never have done 6-7 years ago. Some people can easily do them in their 20s. No, I had to be 40 before I could. Well, nothing has gone wrong. It's all good. It's all good. Okay? So what are you doing to build your capacity for what you're capable of? Right? Who's that future self, man? I want to meet that badass Allison. I want to show Julia that she can be the badass Julia. I want to meet her. And I'm going to do all the things to walk in that direction and feel all the fucking feelings. And some days I'm better at it than others. And some days I want to eat myself into an oblivion to protect myself. And some days I feel like none of it is working. Yes. Okay. That's all a part of it. Nothing has gone wrong. And I'm here to remind you of that. So when you're feeling super discomfort and you're like, I can't do this, come back to this podcast and listen and be inspired that you can take one more step, just one more step in that direction. It's all a part of the journey. You're no different than me. So you can do this. And that's it for today, guys. Keep going. You got this. Build your capacity. And on the other side of that, you're going to see miraculous things. You're going to be a different person. You can do this. You're worthy. Bye, guys. Hold up. Before you go, are you ready to accelerate the road to your goals? Or have you lost momentum and need some extra help? Or maybe you just know you're meant for more but don't know where to start. I can help you. I invite you to a free call with me, where we're going to talk about where you are and where you want to be. And at the end of that call, you're going to have a ton of clarity, you're going to feel relieved, and you're going to know the steps to take to get you where you want to go. And then you decide if working with me is the right fit or not. No sweat. Go to my website, AllisonGallagher.com/coaching, or the link to my calendar and to connect with me is in the show notes. It is time to stop dreaming about the life you want and start taking steps in that direction. Let's go. This is Allison Cratchola Gallagher and the You Get to Decide podcast. Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys later. Bye.